Hello, exiles. Welcome to my RF Chieftain build diary one weekend, and I will show you a map. First, before I go into details about the build and scaling, uh, this build is extremely good for mapping and doing expedition breach. It abuses explodes very easy, and early on you can get explode tattoos. You don't need OS end to get that explosion. You can also run Asenaths if you really want, but insane defensive layers. But I might as well show you a T16 with mods. I mean, they're not like it's just an Alpenggo strat. I'm not ruling the most insane mods ever. Single target's kind of mediocre, but not the worst single target I've ever had. This clear is amazing though. One of the best clears I've ever had in a build. Defense-wise, the build is very tanky. It can tank Eater Slam when with Enfeeble, but if you curse with Enfeeble because you're not producing resistances because you're playing Chieftain, you can use Enfeeble for more defenses. However, I'm not because I play this build with a curse bot sometimes, so I end up I always have to spec out of my ascendancy points until I switch over to like Scorching Ray totems with the ascendancy passive and have fun with that because you can get exposure, all of that. So with a curse bot, that'll make your damage go way up. Clear-wise, the build, again, is just insane. Good at expedition, it can do essence, insane for breach because you can one-shot breach bosses. Because of the ascendancy passive. Good for delirium. So overall, it is a insane mapping build. Here, I'll show you. And that breach boss. Oh, okay, well, Toll didn't actually get hit by any of the explodes, unfortunate. Look at that explode, and then the ignite from it slaughters. Gear-wise, this build isn't super expensive. It can be expensive. You can invest a lot, but to get the build started, you can grab some pretty easy gear. I'm using a staff for more damage because I can drop the defensive layers, but if you wanted more defense, especially to like physical damage, you could take a rare body armor instead of brass dome and run Fizz Taken as well as run a shield with the Exarch shield, or just a shield with life on block is also good. The other and getting like a helmet with Fizz Taken as well would be great. It could run most alter mods. I personally don't choose minus Fizz damage reduction. It can run it, I just don't like to. It's very good for expedition. Boss damage, however, is, you know, terrible. It's not terrible. It could do a lot better. Speed-wise, I'm using staff, so I'm not as going to be as zoom as running shield charge, but the build's good. Boss damage, I mean, I just get to stand still and hold right click. No curses or anything, unless you want to run Feeble. Theoretically, a RF helm rolled with conk effect and burning damage, and the essence is better damage and than running a 6-link staff, but that is expensive or a pain to craft, and overall I just don't see a point in crafting it. My old RF helm that I was using instead of Formless Flame was literally just, and I threw an Essence of Horror at it, and I hit life, and I said that's good. That's all I needed. So not very difficult. This build, if you I mean, I manually cast Molten Shell because I like casting Molten Shell before Slam. You can set it up to the unleft pick, However, you don't really have the sockets for cast when damage taken in this build. It's just not really an option. So, but Expedition gets annihilated. Very fun, enjoyable build. Insane for mapping. I mean, you can sink currency, a lot of currency into this build. I mean, if you really want, probably the easiest way of crafting a staff upgrade is fracturing +2 all on a staff, and then just spamming with fire fossils until you get good scorch fossils until you get good prefixes. Like, well, you want +3 all, and if you can get like fire damage on there, that'd be great. If not, it's not the end of the world. You can multi-mod for fire damage overtime multi, and regular dot multi if you hit with the fossils. So, very good at mapping, whatever. I have, in fact, almost completed this build. I'm just missing a few unique maps which I could go buy. But I've ran every single map, you know. I've gone through, I've killed, I need to do some bosses, which I should be able to complete on this build. I will do those very soon. But, overall, budget for this build, so far, I've synced in probably 50 divines worth of gear. However, this was a league starter, so it scales extremely well into the end game. There's multiple layers of investment that you can keep putting into this build, so you won't hit a hard wall where your only upgrade option is to spend tons and tons of divines after, 20 or 30 divines. Even now, I could craft better rings. These may look very strong, but they're very easy to craft. You take a amethyst ring, kind of eye level, and you throw it into the harvest crafting bench, right, the horde crafting station, and you do reforge an item including a chaos modifier. This hits a guaranteed chaos res. So, do I have an 84 one? Nice. Okay, so I craft. All right, whatever. I don't really care. Go to your horde crafting station. Chaos. Guaranteed chaos res. And you can just keep spamming this. And see, like a ring like this, you craft life on it, it's very good. Already, that's a 20C ring. Very easy crafting method that a lot of people don't know about. I craft life on this. So instead of buying this for, 20 chaos, 40 chaos, I made it for 3 chaos. Because yellow life force isn't very expensive in harvest, or you can farm it out yourself. Very strong, would recommend doing your harvests. The belts. So this was a belt that just grabbed a regular Stygian Vise and threw essences for fire at until I hit life, fire res. I didn't really care about getting chaos res or whatever on this belt, so I didn't really plan on this, and it didn't hit, and I entered exalted orbs with full suffixes for chance at hitting increased life. Did not hit, so instead I started throwing fossils of I threw scorching fossils and fertile fossils at this thing, which can basically, not very expensive, is very easy to hit life, fire res, and max life. But it can be expensive. This was a lucky craft for the exact mods that I have on here, but it shouldn't be very expensive to craft if you're looking for a more endgame belt than Immortal Flesh. Because Immortal Flesh is nice, but with our damage reduction from Eternal Damnation, and having Insane All-Res and Chaos Res, you don't really need to run Immortal Flesh. I mean, we have almost 1k life regen. Our RF is barely degenning us. I mean, in PvP, I think the RF degen is like 120 or something, so not very hard. I mean, the build could do a lot more for life. There's a lot more I could spec. Overall investment, I mean, I do have a Red Flesh and Flame for Unbreakable, but it's not super expensive. It's like 7 divines, which is a very strong layer. Damage, AoE, attack speed, damage. Just going through the build, you can league start this, go through the life regen and max life in Chieftain, all the way up, go down to Arsonist, grab Arsonist, and then grab the Mastery that regens life per uncapped fire res. Go through here, go down through here by Warrior's Blood for Diamond Skin and Robust. This gives insane life regen and very good LE res. More max fire res here. Called Arms for War Cries. Champion the Cause, very good for your 3D fire breakpoint. Overall, this build does extremely well for its investment at all levels, and it can carry you to very good money. I mean, total right now I'm sitting at 8 divines in my stash, but my other character I have Omni gear crafted, I have all that. I mean, on my Brassstone, I've given a shit ton of currency to my brother so he can make his build, right? I've spent a bunch of money. I spent, a couple divines crafting his gear. So making money with this build isn't a problem. It can do a lot of different strategies on the Atlas. I would not recommend Boss Rush, even though it's very good. Anything with bosses, I wouldn't recommend. It'll probably do really well with Abyss. Doesn't the same with Breach, Expedition, Harvest. Harbinger is very good. I'm doing pack size with Grand Design, so very strong. It does really well at Blighted maps. Just tried those out. You just annihilate Blighted maps. Delirium is very nice. Beyond is fine. Not very difficult. Metamorph it can do. So overall, it can do pretty much every content, all content in the game that league mechanic wise. And overall, very, very fun build. Can be, I'm not juicing maps, but I am putting investment in with Breach Scarabs and Expedition Scarabs, and then throwing rolling maps, right? Overall, 10 out of 10. Not super difficult to set up. If people want me to make a build guide, like actual build guide for this, instead of just, throwing together a build overview video for 1 week, I will, but for the most part, I think I'm just going to not put a POV in because I don't want unless people actually want a build guide for this, I'm not going to spend the time setting up a POV and all that, because there's a lot of stuff you got to understand to play the build, which I'd recommend watching some of Pox's content first before you even play RF. He knows everything about the skill essentially. But I will be streaming this build and playing it. If you at twitch.tv, I'll throw up the link, right? And if you have any questions, come to the stream, ask me. If there's enough traction, I will put a build guide out. So do not worry about that. And that is all. Have a great day, Exiles. Keep farming and try to have more fun than me.